Welcome back to painting and decorating, possibly one of the smallest rooms I'll ever work in. It's a little toilet. Anyway, got this radiator to do, and as you can see, it's in really bad condition. They only ever come from the factory with a light coating on them, really. So eventually, especially in damp areas, bathrooms, you'll end up with this. I've already started this one, scraping off these edges a bit, but it needs a really good sand down. I'll show you little bits and how to paint it. So, if you really want to immerse yourself in this video, sit on the toilet while you're watching it, because that's where the camera is. Right there. Anyway, that was my elbow. Now then. First thing, I've got my overalls on, knee pads on. I'm going to put some newspaper down to collect the rubbish. Got my dust mask, P3. That's very important when you're doing this. And my gloves. Various scrapers and a small filling knife. Screwdriver as well, because sometimes it's good to scrape the rust off. And then I've got the P80 and some P180 and some methylated spirits. Right then, so first of all, using your scrapers, scrape off some of the rust. Now I'm going to put my dust mask on. So give it a good scrape down. Okie dokie, that's the scraping off done. Like I say, it's not easy, and you can use all your scrapers, try everything, see what fits best into the corners and certain parts. Even a screwdriver is really good. Anyway, so you can go on forever sometimes with these because it just wants to come off in places. It's the problem with buying a cheap radiator. Anyway, if you want the shabby chic look, just varnish it and you're sorted. Right, sanding it down using my P80. I'm going to try and concentrate on the flat of it first of all, like that. But what you want to do is always sand in the direction you're going to lay the paint off. You know, so across the top there, sand that way. In the middle, you sand that way. At the bottom, you sand across. Sides, and then a little bit on the top. Right then. What you're after trying to do is soften all these edges of where the paint is, and if it just comes off, then just go for it. Once you get to that stage, give it a dust off, and then you can give it another light sand over with the P180. This is just to close up some of the scratch marks in the metal and just make it a little bit smoother. Give it a good dust off, and then you're ready to put some methylated spirits over it. This just helps get rid of any grease or any dirt that's left on. It also acts like an etching primer at the same time. Not that we need one. So just give that a rub over. Okay, so we're ready for the bin primer now. One coat of bin primer coming up. Bin primer, that's what I'm using. Pure bristle brush. Now, it's not easy stuff to use this, so I'm not going to do any talking as such, so you'll just have to watch the procedure. I always start there though. Try and never go over that top edge for the first coat. Well, on any coat really. It's difficult stuff to use. Keep it all going in one direction. Try and not go over it too much, and once you've done a bit, just move on. Don't go back over that now, that's it. You can go a little bit up. Keep all them brush marks in the same direction. You don't have to get it to cover. You just have to get a nice even coat on it, because I'm actually going to put 2 coats of this bin primer on. Now sometimes on a larger radiator I would actually go across that bit there now and just bring that in. Again, all the same direction you're going to be doing your gloss. Same at the bottom. Don't forget right underneath. Too bad. Right. Next section, I'm just going to bring all this in. That's it. Finish that now. Now, don't forget the sides as well, you can just bring them in. I can't really get to that one, but I'm going to try and put a little bit on, because it's all about getting the sheen on there of the gloss when you're finishing. So that's a little bit on that edge. Same again on this edge because no one's really going to see them, but just so you get a little bit on there. Just working with my left hand because it's such a tight spot, you have to. Got to be ambidextrous. Right. And now this top bit, just let the brush go across and then go back that way, the other way. So while leaving it the direction you're going to be painting with the rest of the paints. Too bad. Right, allow that to dry. That bin primer is dry now. So that's had 2 coats. I'm going to sand it down. Just a light go over with some P180. Like I say, I mean a light go over. You can even use a sponge pad for this. Make sure you give it arms on. Now, once you've sanded that over, dust it off, and you're ready for your undercoat. Now, I'm using Pure Brilliant White oil-based undercoat and a Pure Bristle 1-inch brush for this. And again, it's the same principle really. Sometimes you can start the sides first, depending on what you're doing. Doesn't matter too much on this one. So again, starting at the top, I'm going to split it up into 3. Because it doesn't matter which way you do it, there's either 4 or 3, so I'll do 3 on the first one. Work it in. Now, it's a lot easier to use than bin primer under oil undercoat. Dries a lot slower, so it's not as important to not go over edges because you can blend it in a lot easier. So make sure you spread it out nicely. Keeping all the brush marks in the same direction. It's always highly important. Huh? Not too bad at all. Now I'm going to go straight across and then do the top. Work it into them top bits. And then at the same time as I'm doing this top, I'm just going to bring this in at the top. Don't drag your brush across that top bit, otherwise you'll just get runs all inside then. So just give it a dab. And then just lightly draw your brush across. That's in just a little bit there. It's all about spreading your paint out, getting it nice and even. Just bring that side down. I've already done that there. Again, just scrub a bit on the side. Can't quite see it, but at least it'll all look the same sheen when someone looks down the side. And toilet, left-handed. Always keep a cloth with you, if you touch anything, wipe it off straight away. Got a little bit on there. And be careful about any thick edges. And then just finish off with that bottom bit, remembering right underneath. There we go. Allow that to dry now, and I'll put the gloss on. And I'll show you putting the gloss on. The undercoat is dry now. Quick sand down with the P180, and then give it a dust over. And we're ready to gloss it. So I'm using Pure Brilliant White oil-based gloss. Same brush I used before. I've cleaned it out and I've worked it into the gloss. But what I'll show you first of all is just this top bit, because I'm going to start with the top and just leaving this edge, and then I'm going to do the sides, I'm going to do the fronts. So I'll show you some of that top bit there now. So the last thing you want to be doing is dragging your brush really hard across the top of those. You've got to try and work them, because there is little edges to them. So give it a tap here and there, different directions, and then when you're finishing off, just cut, you know, just lightly go across. So I'm only finishing into that front edge there. And just work your way across like that. Just got this front to do now, so I'm just going to crack on and get it done. Just bring them all in this time. brush. Do that. Just finishing with the bit across the top and the one across the bottom. Blend that in a bit at the top. I mean, it's drying already, this gloss, so you've got to be careful about going over it too much. I'll do. That's the thing with gloss. Once it's been on 5 minutes, if you go back to it and try and touch it up, it'll always flash and show up. And on the other hand, satin is fantastic to go back to and touch up. Doesn't seem to flash though. Make sure you get that underneath edge. There you go. Right, you can have a quick close up of that. And we're all done. And don't forget to